This is chapter 49 of the Holy Quran, and the verses I have recited to you are verses 13 and 14. And their English translation is, O mankind, surely we have created you from a male and a female, and made you into tribes and families that you may know each other. Surely the noblest of you with Allah is the most dutiful of you. Surely Allah is knowing, aware. The dwellers of the desert say, we believe. Say you believe not, but say we submit, and faith has not yet entered into your hearts. And if you obey Allah and His Messenger, He will not diminish aught of your deeds. Surely Allah is forgiving and He is merciful. In this verse of the Holy Quran, we are told what the purpose of creation of tribes and families is. And it is no more than being able to place people and follow their and your lineage. It's a bit like a sat-nav. If you key in where you are and where you want to go, it maps out a route for you. But if you're too close in, so all you can see is where you are and where you have to turn right or left in 200 yards, 300 yards or whatever, then you lose the sense of where you are and where you're going. But if you zoom out, then what happens is you can see where you are and what your objective is. It's the same here. You are an individual, and that is all that others know about you. But if you tell them about your family, about your parents, who they are, where you come from, then they have a better idea about you. And certain families and certain tribes, they have certain characteristics. We know about the Jewish nose, for example. That is a physical characteristic that has developed in a people that inhabited a certain area. But the point is that belonging to a particular family or a tribe has no more importance than being able to place you in a context when you tell people who you are. But the problem that has become is this, that belonging to a family has in itself become some kind of a meritorious deed. And the most glaring example of that, of course, is people who say, I am a Sayyid. I am a descendant of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, of course, there is a difficulty with this concept, and that is that people who claim to have this lineage, they actually don't come from Holy Prophet, but they come from Hazrat Ali Razillah Ta'ala anhu. Because lineage is counted from the father and not from the mother. The Holy Prophet did not have any sons. There was only one daughter who achieved adulthood, and she was married to Hazrat Ali Razillah Ta'ala, and they had 2 sons. So strictly speaking, Sayyids are actually, their lineage actually is traced back, not to the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallam, but to Hazrat Ali Razim. But that is another point. But what I'm saying is, that is sometimes taken as a sign of some kind of an honor. Oh, he's a Sayyid. But the point is, what has he contributed to becoming a Sayyid? Nothing. It was, you might say, an accident of nature that he is born into this family. And we know that many people use this title simply to impress others. And this is what this verse of the Holy Quran is about. Just because you belong to a family, just because you belong to a clan, just because you belong to a tribe, it does not in itself give you any superiority. It does not take you in any way closer to God. As the verse says, we have created you from a male and female and made you tribes and families that you may know each other. That's the only reason, that's the only importance of clans and tribes and so on. You might say this one's a Quraishi, this one's a Chaudhary, this one's a whatever. Surely the noblest of you with Allah, who is that? Is the most dutiful of you. And that actually is a warning which says, don't take the fact that your father was Mr. X or your grandfather was Mr. Y to bestow some kind of a nobility on you. Nobility is derived from how dutiful you are in doing your duty to Allah and doing your duty to human beings. And it's common throughout the world. If you look at America, we have, so and so is a Kennedy. I mean, so what? Someone in that family, in that clan, in that tribe might have done something good. But the question is, it's not their achievements and it's not their deeds that matter. What matters is what you have done. And we have this all over the world. Mr. X is a Bhutto. Yes? Okay. So what? By accident of nature, he was born in a particular family. What are his qualities? I'm not going to go into politics, but their fathers and forefathers, they might have done great things or not done great things. They might have done bad things, we don't know, with some of these people. In India, we have the Nehru family, or as they call it, the Gandhi family. Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, and so on, Sanjay, etc. And now their children. Why are they prominent? Why have they achieved prominence? Because they belong to the semi-royal family in India. Of themselves, they have not achieved anything. If you go back and look at the Gandhi family, for example, we see the fact that Motilal Gandhi, who was Motilal Nehru, who was Jawaharlal Nehru's father, he did achieve something. Jawaharlal Nehru, his son, he did achieve something. They are prominent because of their achievements. Independence of India, setting up of a political party to fight for independence of India, etc., etc. What about the kids now? You honor them, why? Because they belong to that family. Without any merit, without any virtue. And that is what God says. That nobility doesn't lie in belonging to a particular family. Nobility lies in doing your duty to Allah and doing your duty to your fellow man. And we have examples of this as well, that what matters is merit. You should have a society where that is what rules. If you have a society where advancement, promotion, and all these things depend just on your contacts and connections and family, then that society is going to decline. Because merit is being ignored. People who are able are not being brought forward. We have many examples from the life of our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And one example is that a girl was convicted of theft. And she was the daughter of a chief of a tribe. And people went running to the Holy Prophet. And they said, "Oh Prophet of Allah, she's been convicted, but the punishment for theft in Islam, please don't apply to her." As someone said a few weeks ago, bend the rules a bit. She's the daughter of a chief. She's been convicted, but if you punish her in the way that a poor person's daughter would have been punished, he will leave Islam. And if he leaves Islam, his tribe will leave Islam. And Islam will suffer. So you get these arguments all the time. Oh, we have to bend the rules. Oh, we have to do the wrong thing. Why? It's in the country's benefit. It's in the society's benefit. We have to see whether the harm of doing the wrong thing is greater than the harm that will be done to society, country, family by doing the wrong thing. These are just excuses. And God answers them well in the following verses. This is going back to this chief's daughter and people saying, "Oh, well, if you punish her, that chief and the tribe will leave Islam." God says, "They presume to lay you under an obligation by becoming Muslims." Tell them, don't do me any favors. I don't depend on you. I depend on Allah. And God says, they're not doing you a favor. I've done them a favor by showing them the right path. And if you follow this policy, if a society follows this policy, that our society is not a theocracy, it's a meritocracy or whatever you want to call it, then you can achieve great things. We've had in the news about some people who were in servitude and so on. So in relation to that, and slavery, when we talk about slavery, then we always remember the way slaves were transported from Africa and brought to England and Europe and then transported from here to the United States, and what terrible conditions there were, and they died, and how they were treated when they arrived in these countries, and how the women were raped, and it's a long list and a long history and a long story. But in Islam, a slave was the most honored person. Hazrat Bilal. When it was decided that the azan was going to be the Muslim call for prayer, a decision had to be made about who will be the first person to call out the azan. And of course, everyone wanted that honor, because everyone realized that name will go down in history. And in years to come, people will remember and say, "Oh, it was this person." So who was chosen? Was it the son of a chieftain? Was it a powerful person? Was it a very rich person? The person who was chosen was a slave. He had earned that honor by his unstinting, unwavering dedication to the Holy Prophet Muhammad and to the cause of Islam. This encourages others. This encourages others to do their duty, to devote themselves for a cause. If rather you pick someone because they belong to a family and say to them, oh, give them this position. Why? Oh, his father was this. Or his grandfather is this. How is that going to encourage people of merit? You might say that I have just related an isolated incident. That it was the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in whose lifetime it happened. Has it happened ever? Yes. It happened throughout Islamic history. It happened throughout Islamic history that people rose to the position of prominence, to leadership, to kingship on merit. And this will surprise you. Everyone's heard the name Salahuddin Ayyubi. In Europe he is called Saladin. He was the leader of the Muslims who fought Richard the Lionheart at the time of one of the Crusades. Who was he? He was a slave. He started off his life as a slave. He was educated, he was trained in military arts, and he rose through the ranks and he became a leader of the Muslims. In India, if you read the history of India, there is a whole dynasty of Muslims. What's that dynasty? They're not Tudors or Stuarts or whatevers. It's the dynasty of the slave. That is its name, dynasty of the slave. These people were purchased from wherever, taken to India. They were educated, they were trained, and then they rose through the ranks. Might have been military, it might have been civil service, it might have been the king's court, whatever it was. And the most able of them became the next ruler and the next king. So these examples of honoring people and people achieving greatness, although on the face of it, their worldly status was very low, is not restricted to the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Salahuddin Ayyubi came hundreds of years later. The dynasty of slaves came even later than Salahuddin or Saladin, however you want to pronounce it. But the main thing was that a society had been created where people knew that it was merit that counted. And if they were able, and if they worked hard, then they would be rewarded. You see, God says to people, color yourselves in my colors. Color yourselves in my colors. What does that mean? What God is saying is, think how you want me to treat you. If you're able and pious and holy and honest and truthful, and I don't reward you, how would you feel? Would you say that that is a just God? But compared to you, I rewarded someone who was the son of a prime minister, or who was the son of a prophet. No, Mr. X, I know you've been good all your life. Mother Teresa, I know you spent your life washing and feeding and cleaning lepers in Calcutta. But I'm not going to reward you. Here is a person, here is the Prophet Noah, here is his son. I'm going to reward him. He will have a higher station in the afterlife than you. How would you feel? Would you feel that that was a just God? Would you feel that hereafter was something worth striving for? Of course you wouldn't. You'd say, well, if that's how I am going to be treated, then I will do my best to line my pockets, to earn as much money as I can. There's no point in being good. There's no point in doing your duty. There's no point in merit. There's no point in working hard. Because at the end of the day, all that will matter is he the nephew of the Ministry of Interior or the Home Office? Was his grandfather a general in the army or some other politician or something? Sometimes we look at verses of the Holy Quran and we don't appreciate the deep meaning and message and lesson that is hidden in them. Sometimes we think, well, it's a verse of the Holy Quran, but there is no direction or direct message in that for us. I would beg to disagree. You can read these verses of the Holy Quran that I recited and take them at face value, but you can also think about them and see what message God is trying to give you, what direction God is trying to give you, what guidance God is trying to give you. And if you do that, and this is why the Quran says elsewhere, why do they not reflect upon it? Why do they not think about it? Why do they just recite it parrot fashion and think they have done something great? I will end now and ask you to, whenever you read a verse of the Holy Quran, you don't have to read chapters, just read one verse, its translation in Urdu, French, German, English, whatever your language is, and try and think what its message is, and then try and apply that message in practical terms in your own lives.